Welcome to Unmuted, where stories get told, questions get asked, and the mic stays open. I'm your host, Angelique, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be before you today. This is actually one of my first videos on my new channel, Unmuted. And I started this podcast because I wanted to challenge the silence. Unmuted was created to keep the mic open when the world goes silent. It is a voice for the voiceless. So today we will be covering the very tragic and complex case of 21-year-old Javion Magee, whose story deserves to be heard in full. Before we jump into the events that led to his death, I did want to just take a moment to remember who Javion was, because he was someone's child. You know, he belonged to someone. He was someone's cousin, brother, and friend. And I couldn't find out too many details, just the basics. He was born October 5th, 2002, to Tierra Roberts and Corey Magee. Javion was known for being hardworking, kind, compassionate, and loyal. At 21, he was working as a truck driver, pursuing his career, and building a future for himself. He wasn't just a name in the news.
County Sheriff's Office released surveillance footage today in their investigation of Javion Magee's death. He's the man who was found dead with a rope around his neck at the base of a tree.
So diving into the timeline that led to his death, on September 10th, 2024, Javion was in Henderson, North Carolina, making a delivery at a Walmart distribution center. Later that day, he was seen on Walmart surveillance camera purchasing a blue utility rope. That blue utility rope is very significant to the story. Shortly after, he encountered a homeless man and provided him $228. He gave him $228 and said, "If I had more, I'd give it to you." Javion attempted to book a room at the Hampton Inn, but none were available. He then returned to the wooded area alone on Vance County Road, where tragedy would strike.
Listen to the 911 calls made on the day Magee's body was found.
I had some guys out here mowing grass, and I think y'all, man out here hung himself in a tree.
The guy hung himself in the tree?
Yeah, he looked dead.
Okay,
He still got a rope around his neck.
That brings us to the morning of September 11th. A 911 call reported a man with a rope around his neck. First responders found Javion seated at the base of a tree, the rope tied to the branch above him. Now remember that key element that I told you to remember about Javion being seen on surveillance camera purchasing a blue utility rope. Investigators reported that the rope's wrapper and the Walmart receipt were found nearby. The preliminary autopsy shows hemorrhaging consistent with hanging. No defensive wounds, no signs of struggle. The North Carolina medical examiner officially ruled his death a suicide May of 2025. But Javion's family does not agree with that conclusion. They have a lot of unanswered questions and concerns.
It's not a lynching in Vance County. The young man was not dangling from a tree. He was not swinging from a tree. The rope was wrapped around his neck. It was not a noose. It was not a knot in the rope. So therefore, it was not a lynching here in Vance County.
The questions still remain. The family, they note that Javion had no known mental health struggles. There was no warning signs or a motive for him to take his life. They've also raised questions regarding the gaps in the investigation, the communication from authorities during the investigation, and if all the evidence was considered. For them and the community, the story feels incomplete. The ruling leaves too many unanswered questions. This case isn't just a single ruling. It deserves transparency, accountability, and making sure that families get the answers that they deserve. Here on Unmuted, we highlight those stories, the ones overlooked, dismissed, or forgotten, because Javion's life mattered, and his story deserves more than silence. I'll continue to follow this case. I'll review documentation and keep asking the questions that others won't. Thank you for listening to Unmuted. Stay aware, stay vocal, and remember, the mic stays open.